Our Kwaba SI Ediban News Review, Nimdia News, always the best news in town. In Semi Brunana, say Koso Ebio, Ewo Ghana, Amai Muhammad Kacho say for politics and governance, dear. Odi Nimdia News are nowadays. Asem. We bring you all news and Ebio Sono Yedi AC, Amai want also in Answer Brown, and Musa to Miakabi. Yenti and Simbia, AC, whom baby as Susan at the bottom and so Ebefa. Ghana had politics is about NPP, NDC, and all other political parties are a trenchia waha. And now what in some say, what now what in some say, now in some be essay. I'm a per se, ye betie a 9.4 second comedian who anum. Ye betie in some no about you are near the adventure and so about. Press out the comment. Everybody said a baby to me, Unia King and so dear man before that, no so no subscribe to your channel, no. Name the news, and some all other relevant news if a politics from our Ghana. Yentin see me emergency, na press out the adventure and so ever to ya. Yentimra, Yaba de Rubia near Masaka.
Paul Adom Ochre and 2 others over the Ghana Airports Company Limited contract probe. And these people have been detailed also because they have failed the bail terms. I have lawyer Baffour Awuah with me on Zoom, and we're going to have this conversation to understand various perspectives. I understand Baffour Awuah is actually on phone. Thank you for joining us. Good morning and welcome to the AM show. Baffour Awuah.
Good morning and thanks for having me. Good morning to your listeners and viewers.
Great. So let me start with your initial reaction to the story. When you first heard that the Office of the Special Prosecutor had detained these 3 persons of interest, what were your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts were that when a person is given power to exercise same for and on behalf of the state, to achieve a particular end, we should not obstruct that person. However, we should make sure that that person counts for the exercise of that power. And so when the facts are out and we are able to judge for ourselves the reasonableness or otherwise of the exercise of that power, then we need to put judgment to it. What judgment are we putting to it? Question would be, will the poor man get bail in Kisia Jabin's OSP? Will a poor man get bail in Kisia Jabin's OSP? It's very ridiculous, very unreasonable, the terms of it. And when you look at, you cannot isolate this from the historical antecedent in terms of Mr. Adom Ochre's relationship with the OSP. You know, nobody is saying that give him preferential treatment. However, if you don't also approach it very well, then you leave no one, you know, you leave us with no choice than to conclude that this is just to show him where power lies. And it is unfortunate because that's not the reason why the power is given to the special prosecutor.
So I want to understand what you mean by, will the poor man ever get bail under Kisia Jabin's OSP? Can you elaborate on that? What are you trying to say?
If you are asking for 2 landed properties in a person's name before you give him bail, then question will be, will a poor man get bail from the OSP? It's very ridiculous. The whole essence or the whole philosophy behind it will be defeated, because the whole point is about making sure the person, when required to come to court or when required to come to you, will definitely come, right? And so you have to look at it on a case-by-case basis.
But Nana J, can you confirm that Paul Adom Ochre, in fact, does not own landed properties? And if so, I mean, what does that even apply about his...
That is not material, very respectfully. The materiality of it is whether or not, without those 2 landed properties, the object behind a person needing to satisfy such terms will be met. That is what is material. Whether or not, in the absence of it, the philosophy or the object behind the bill will still be met. In my humble opinion, Under no stretch of imagination would you think that someone like Paul Awuah would jump bail without taking such properties from him. Under no circumstance, by no stretch of imagination. That is the reason why the terms are unreasonable and clear evidence that the OSP simply wants to show Paul where power lies.
So let's pause here for a bit. This is what you have to say. I'll come back and we'll probe the matters. I also have Justice Abdullahi. He's a lawyer and a lecturer, UPSA Faculty of Law.
My regards to him.
Justice Abdullahi, thanks for joining us on this conversation. So, Justice Lawyer Baffour Awuah, Baffour Awuah, is saying that it looks like the poor man cannot get bail under Kisia Jabin's OSP, and he's making reference to the fact that he was supposed to, Paul Awuah was supposed to present 2 landed properties, and he was not able to meet those requirements, for which reason he's still he has been detained together with 2 others. What were your initial thoughts when this information came to light for you?
Thank you so much. And my deepest regards to my brother, Nana. Nana is my good brother, so if I need to extend my deepest appreciation to him. Indeed, on this note, I was completely shocked, first off, when I heard that Paul has not been able to meet his bail condition. And so naturally, I was asking myself several questions. What could have been the conditions such that a person like Paul couldn't be able to meet them? It's a bit troubling because, first off, bills are not supposed to be used as weapons to target individuals. That is not the essence of bail. And as rightly put by my friend, bills are supposed to ensure that the person is available as and when he's needed, but not as weapons to target people and then show them what you can do to them when the appropriate circumstances avail itself. And so, I mean, to that extent, I completely agree that the whole news was a bit shocking, but when the details started coming out, it sounded a bit weird. Because these are not the normal bill terms that you would find. Typically, what you would find is that bill conditions, even if it's supposed to be justified, it can be the justification can be in the name of any other person, i.e., if you are using a landed property or you are even depositing a check, or individuals are standing in sureties for you. All these can be done without necessarily the property or the check or any other thing that is being used as a security for your release.
Because you're talking about the details, I'm tempted to add that, I mean, these 2 landed properties were not supposed to be of any required or specific value. So
that part of it was itself a bit problematic because
so how then can we say that it's too big or it's just too much, something we've not seen before, if they didn't attach a specific value to these?
You see,
that is not even an issue actually. That is not an issue at all.
Okay.
To insist that the property be in the name of the person would mean that you're not just bringing in an indenture, as we popularly call it. You are bringing in a land title certificate registered in the name of the detainee. And that cannot be something that ordinarily we do here in this country. I've never come across that anyway, regardless of the value attached to the property or not.
So what then is your reading from this? I mean, you are saying that it's never been done. What conclusions did you draw from whatever the intention is behind such requirements?
At this point, we can only guess, but we can never be able to determine exactly what the OSP is driving at.
Yeah, but what do you see?
The only guess at this point would be that it is designed to keep him in custody. That's the only guess, educated guess that you can come to. And this is so also because Paul is quite known in this country. And even though one may want to use the former finance minister as an example of people that may be known but will still escape, I think there can still be better means of getting him secured and then still be out there on a bail. There are a lot of other means that you can use, not necessarily having to buy a property in your name, duly registered and titled. I think that is too much to ask.
Okay, hold for me. I know Nana Ejeba wanted to say something. You say that your personal reading into this matter is it looks like the requirements were designed to keep him detained. Nana Ejeba, what do you say? You wanted to come in at some point.
So, like Shakespeare puts it, there's no art to tell the mind's construction on a human fate. Indeed, even in the courtroom, judgments are made from facts based on how the facts look like. And so, without more, we are then led to conclude based on the available facts. There's one thing which is not in dispute from this discussion. My brother just told you that from the facts, it is obvious that the whole thing was designed to keep Mr. Adomotri in custody. The fundamental question then will be, why would anybody want to keep Mr. Adomotri in custody? Clearly, it is to settle scores. What do we know about the relationship between Paul and the OSP? Paul has been very vocal in the way and manner the OSP carries out his business. Okay? And so, clearly, you leave us with no choice than to conclude that it is on that basis that the OSP wants to show where power lies. In fact, if they say that the property it should not be of a specific value, there's no property which is of no value in this country. With the greatest of respect, the property, even in my mother's village or my village, Achianse in the Kwabre district, right, is of value. And so it is not strange that a person cannot, right, produce two properties, right? It is not strange. Every property is of value, okay? And the mere fact that a person cannot produce a property is no basis to keep that person. The fundamental issue at heart should be whether or not the person, if required, would be available. Where would Paul Adomotri go to? Where? That you have to keep him overnight. In fact, when you look at even the facts, which is the matter at hand, which is being considered by the OSP, it is even laughable, ridiculous. Look, you have to consider this from the corporate perspective and also the public procurement perspective, right? What role will a board chair play in procurement in this country? Unless you have a letter where the board chair himself wrote to secure approval for a procurement process from the public procurement authority.
So, you see, Nana Baffour Awuah, you asking that we probe the whys, and so let's do that. And you also saying that when you go down into the details, it looks like this whole case is laughable. I'm quoting you verbatim here. Now, we know that Paul Adomotri is under investigation in connection with some revenue assurance contracts between Ghana Airports Company Limited and a private firm owned by the proprietor of Strategic Mobilization Ghana Limited. That is SML, right? Now, the OSP is examining the possible procurement breaches, including a sole source contract awarded to a company other than the one approved by the GACL board. Now, at the time, Paul Adomotri was the board chairman. He has not denied, and I want to quote, right, so this is coming from Office of the Special Prosecutor. They are saying that the immediate past board chairman of GACL, Paul Adomotri, did not deny the allegation by management of the Airports Company Limited that he brought the shady company. And he also confirmed that the procurement process for this contract started at the board level. Why would Paul Adomotri not be the ideal person to be answerable for these investigations or questions that we need answers to?
So let me explain to you something. Assuming the fact they have even put out is true.
Are you saying this is not true? Because if you say assuming, it means you don't think it's true.
No, wait.
Okay,
Assuming, because these are, what they have put out is their version of the facts. We know that they have put out versions of facts which have turned out not to be true. It is on record. It's a matter of public knowledge that consistently the OSP has put out facts that have turned out not to be true. The OSP put out facts in respect of Cecilia Dapa and canvassed it, went on a public rally, right, with it, only for him to tell us that it is not even within his domain. It is within the domain of Yoko. Then Yoko sent it back to Yoko, then rejected it. The OSP put out facts in respect of the late La Bianca. And we didn't see the head or tail of it in the end. There are several facts the OSP has put out that leaves much to be desired. And so in terms of facts that the OSP put out, if the historical antecedent is anything to go by, then clearly, very respectfully, there's much to be. We need to interrogate it further. We don't have to take it as gospel. But assuming without admitting that you even take it on the face value, if I introduce a company to you, assuming that I even introduce a company to you, that doesn't mean that I have, I'm involved in the procurement processes. There are clear procedures in respect of the procurement. The chief executive as the head of entity will initiate it by writing, if it's sole sourcing, he will write a letter subject to the approval of the board. He will write a letter to the Public Procurement Authority to obtain the necessary approval. In this case, even if Paul introduced the company to GACL, did Paul write the letter or put a gun to the head, very respectfully, of the chief executive of Ghana Airport Company to write a letter to